welcome back to RVN's new television show, What the Why, with host Barbara Ann, me. Our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured out that what they're doing is what they were meant to do. Thank you so much for joining us. Maybe you're looking for something different in your life or career. Maybe you feel stuck and you'd like to get unstuck. Maybe you found us by accident, although if you've watched before, you've heard me say there is no such thing as accidents. Whatever led you to the show, this show is for you. Our guest today is Ellyn Herbert, CEO of Her Biz, which is based in Delaware, so thank you so much for coming up from Delaware. In addition to being a master level coach, I'm gonna have to read this because very impressive guest here, very impressive guest. So, in addition to being a master level coach, she is a business and leadership development specialist with comprehensive knowledge in entrepreneurship, executive coaching, career development, human resources, budget and finance, management's needs analysis, performance, federal contracting and procurement. Her record of success coaching and motivating others towards professional development and increased performance is award-winning, literally. In 2010, she was chosen by Delaware Women in Business Champion, or she was chosen as the Delaware Women in Business Champion by the U.S. Small Business Administration. In 2015, Delaware Today awarded her a Woman in Business Award, and in 2020, she received the Jesse Ari MBI Leadership and Service Award from Women in Leadership Development and Empowerment, Inc., otherwise known as WILD. Suffice to say, women's business is Ellyn's business. Ellyn has a BA from Ramapo College, a certificate in adult learning and organizational development from Temple University. You getting tired yet?
Oh, well.
And she's pursuing an MS in management and organization leadership from Wilmington University. She's earned conversational intelligence certifications, leadership, executive, individual, and team coaching certifications, among other credentials. And in addition to all of these things, she's a very close friend. So please, without further ado, welcome my guest, Ellyn Herbert.
Hi, everybody. Barbara Ann, thank you so much for that. Such a lovely introduction that went through my many, many years of experience and learning. So
and
I am exhausted.
I know when you hear yourself kind of spelled out like that, you're kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of things. And that's not even everything that you've done. Those are just some of the highlights. So everyone has a story. And yours took 2 whole pages just to give some of the highlights. So how did you evolve to where you are today? In other words, how did you get here in your career journey?
Yeah, so many iterations, right? So many turns and twists and decisions that had to be made. But how I started on the executive coaching path, if you will, is truly, I felt I was filling a need. So I'm a Generation Xer. And for those of us that are Generation Xers, right, back in the day, if you were an emerging female leader and you were aspirational or ambitious, the dirty word, right?
Never, ambitious. Oh, how dare you as a
Right?
woman be ambitious, right?
And you had opinions and you felt very comfortable voicing those opinions.
Oh my goodness.
Unless you had a coalition or a mentor or even a sponsor, it was really hard to aspire, right? And I recognize that. And because not everyone back in the day, there was no such thing as mentorship programs. There was no such thing as sponsorship programs. And if you were not lucky enough to have something like that in your career, you could flounder. You could get lost. Your talent and your expertise could be missed. So, when I gave birth to my first child, I recognized that I could not stay in corporate America and work 80, 90 hours a week. It was really hard. Yeah. So I left corporate America, and as I was sort of figuring out my path in terms of what I was going to do, what I was passionate about, that sort of rang over and over in my head. I kept getting nudged by seeing different women's stories, by seeing illustrations of the very thing I just shared. And I remember my husband said to me when he found out about the executive coaching profession, "Oh my gosh, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You should be a coach." And I was like, oh, that's so cliche. I don't want to be an HR professional that transitions into executive coaching. I don't want to do that. But when I started looking into it and I saw the level of training and education that went into being a professional coach, and I started to understand all of the different types of individuals that went into it, like my husband, who typically knows way before me what's good for me, because I'm resistant, as Barbara Ann could testify to.
No.
I was like, this is so in alignment with who I am, how I show up every day, and what I'm passionate about. So, yeah.
Which is awesome, because the thousands of women that you have helped have really benefited from the path that you've chosen. But one of the signature questions of What the Why, I don't imagine you started out as a little girl thinking, I want to grow up and be an executive life coach. So what did you want to be when you were little?
So this is so interesting. I think about this all the time. I wanted to be a writer. I used to have, can you?
Okay, yes, okay,
Yeah.
I can see that.
I used to carry around a little notebook that I got at an auction that I went to with my mother, and I would just start writing ideas for stories. I would write down words that really meant something to me. I remember learning a word called the word juxtaposition, and I had to look it up. I think I was 11 years old. I was fascinated by that word, and I use it to this day. But yeah, writing, I always saw myself as a writer. And my undergraduate, my area of focus was literature, creative writing, and journalism. So, yeah.
Okay. So you decide to become an executive coach.
Yeah.
How was that journey in particular? I mean, there's so many things involved with becoming an executive coach. And here you are. You've just left the corporate sector. You've got a little one at home. Please describe for our viewership
Yeah.
a little bit about what executive coaching and coaching is, because you kind of hinted a little bit about, some of the skepticism around it, and some of that's still out there.
Absolutely. I think there's skepticism around it because it's not really truly understood as to what it is as a practice, as a methodology, as a proficiency. And when I first entered into the profession, I didn't understand what it was either. One of the biggest misconceptions around coaching is that it's mentoring. Right? That when someone hires a coach, you know this all too well, they call you up and they hire you, and then they just sit back and they're wanting you to do the heavy lifting, the work, and tell them what to do, clients, right? And I remember in my first 2 or 3 coach training classes that I too thought it was about mentoring and consulting. I thought, hey, I'm a smarty pants. I can help so many women, and I'm going to tell them exactly what to do because I've learned so much. And to really find out that the proficiencies of coaching are held to a much higher standard, that it really truly is about empowerment, that it really truly is about assisting an individual client in developing their own agency and an ability to solve their own problems. I did not know that, but man, when I really got it, it became one of the most inspiring paths that I feel that I could have ever chosen to help affect change.
And you're right, because I think one of the other things that has an impact on the industry is the people who aren't certified, who
Yeah.
are out there professing to be coaches and telling people what to do. And, telling ain't coaching, for lack of better words.
You've been saying that for years as the trainer that you are,
yes.
right?
Just like telling ain't training,
That's
telling
right.
ain't coaching. So, what are some of the resources that you've tapped into that have helped you along the way?
Yeah. So the good news for anyone that's considering coaching is that, I started my coach training journey almost 18, 19 years ago. There were very few resources at the time.
Yeah.
Now, 18, 19 years later, there is the resources, it's just exploded, the coaching industry, as it should. As it should. But the resources that I've chosen, so as Barbara Ann you read, my certifications, I've said my path has been winding. Why I take different turns or I choose different paths of learning for myself as a coach is that's all driven by my clients and what's happening within my circle of influence, right? So I always say with my clients, there is a theme to every coaching week, right? My clients show up and it's weird how 2 or 3 of very different clients will bring up the same themes. And when I hear something once, twice, or 3 times, mostly when it's the 3rd time, and I hear a pattern in what women are challenged by and struggling with, I go, time for me to figure out, gather a little bit more knowledge on this in order to be able to service those clients. So
Awesome. So I want to come back to the fact that there's lots of different ways to
Yes.
approach it. So we're going to take a small break, and then we'll be back with Ellyn Herbert, CEO of Herbiz. Welcome back to What the Why with host Barbara Ann. And my guest today is Ellyn Herbert, CEO of Herbiz. We were just talking about the variety of types of coaching that Ellyn offers as part of her suite of services. And there were a number of different resources
Yes.
that you took advantage of along the way to help prepare you. What are some of those resources in case somebody out there would like to pursue the same or a similar journey to what
Yeah.
you're doing?
So one of the number one things I did when I chose to pursue the coaching path was identify a coaching school, right? A school that was going to teach me how to coach effectively and to a degree of excellence, which is one of my drivers. And the school I chose was the Graduate School of Coaching, which was started by Thomas Leonard, who is kind of known as the father of coaching, the contemporary father of coaching. Coaching has been a modality that's been around for hundreds, thousands of years, right? But Thomas is coined as the father of contemporary coaching. He started Coach University, he started the International Coach Federation, he started the International Association of Coaches, he started Coachville. He was so prolific in his desire and vision for coaching. And because of that, he was such a huge driver and inspiration that I chose his school, his current school at that time. Since then, and since graduating and getting some certifications, I now do some ad hoc training and through certification programs. One of my favorite schools that I went to is called Ignite Business Partners, who I recently went through a very refreshing ICF training course where I got over 170 hours. It was very, very similar, but after, like I said, 18 years, it was like I needed to go back to basics just to make sure that I felt comfortable coaching the way that I was trained to coach. I've gone to WBEX. I don't know do you know WBEX, Barbara?
I actually don't.
They do a lot of professional level certifications, and that's specifically where I got trained in conversational intelligence.
Okay.
and team coaching, as well as accelerated coaching excellence. Like how do you become a masterful coach? And
Now, team coaching is newer.
yes.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit more about team coaching and,
Sure.
and how you decided to go down that path?
I'm so glad you asked, because this truly is my current passion, and for a variety of reasons. So one of the things when it comes to coaching an individual, I started to really pivot to, in order for an and the core of my coaching is really about finding out what the individual desires, what their vision is, and then building a framework and a course of action for them to achieve that. But underlying all that is, are they happy? Are they satisfied? Are they being fulfilled? I'm speaking your language. I know I am.
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm all about what's the why and core purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's sort of underlying, because if you're not, happy, fulfilled, or satisfied, what's the purpose,
Yeah.
right, of doing whatever you're doing? So that's always underlying it. And what I started to find out in coaching client after client is that you could help an individual as much as you can, and they would leave every coaching session and then they'd have to go back to the system, the environment in which they operate and function. And the environments, the context is really, really important. There's so much toxicity going on, because one of the things that I've taken to saying is every business problem is a people problem. Right? So as much as someone could benefit from coaching, when they go back, they have to interact and deal with many other people that may or may not have gone through a coaching program. So team coaching actually addresses that. It focuses on the systems, the systemic approach, which looks at the whole environment, right? The organization, the other people that the individual is involved in, and that individual. And then it goes even beyond that to invite in the stakeholders, and who an individual, the teams, the organizations really have as stakeholders, and is everybody's needs getting met. This, coaches talk with their clients all the time. What's the bigger vision? What's the bigger purpose? How big can you think? And team coaching actually takes the coaching methodology to that large of a level, right? You're thinking so much bigger. You're moving beyond the individual level. So obviously you can tell I'm so excited about this new approach to coaching.
Absolutely, because if you're really going to accomplish systemic institutional change, everybody has to be bought into it.
Absolutely.
And the coaching mindset is so important. Full disclosure, I also did a refresher course through the Excellence in Coaching program with Ignite Business Partners. And so if you'd like more about that,
Yes.
we'll have to make sure that gets in our information at the end of the show.
And I hope that we can, every resource that I shared, we can put information out there. Or of course, you could always reach out.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, your contact information is going to be listed, as will mine, because in addition to being the host of the show, I do also have a coaching company. And again, full disclosure, Ellyn and I do partner on some projects, and we've done some really interesting things together, especially during the pandemic as it related to the trauma that
Yes.
people were experiencing, especially in certain industries that were so involved in working directly with whether it was businesses that were affected by the pandemic or individuals that were affected by the pandemic, and the need for extreme self-care. And for some, they may still have that need out there.
Absolutely.
So could you explain a little bit about what extreme self-care is?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I wasn't expecting it, so give me a sec.
Okay.
First, let's start with self-care. Let's grow into it, right? So self-care is when, one, you're willing to recognize and commit that in addition to everything else an individual takes care of during the day, which are all of our transactions, our relationships, our learning, our paying the bills, that there is the most important element in that is the self, right? Acknowledging, being willing to commit to understanding the importance of that and taking care of that self as much as you take care of everything else is a foundational belief system, right?
Absolutely, because you cannot give away what you do not have.
Exactly.
Just like they say on the airplane, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can assist anyone else around you.
That's right. So now let's like build that out a little bit, right? And building that out is, so how do you take something like that and bring it to an extreme level? And why would you want to, right? The extreme self-care approach or person that wants to start doing that is that you truly start believing what you just said, Barbara Ann, right? Which is you cannot give if you are not providing for yourself. So look at the bare minimum, look at just each incremental increase so that you can recognize when you are out of capacity, when you are just exhausted. You should never be getting to that place. And how do you fill yourself up? When you look at it that way every day, right, you take a moment to pause, consider where you're at, where your meter is, if you will, in terms of your energy. Then you approach it and fill yourself up every day. Not on a Saturday morning when you get your hair done or you get your nails done or you need a massage, right?
But you're always checking in with yourself.
Always checking in, and your energy level is the thing that indicates where you're at.
Which is one of the things I love about your coaching approach, because there are some out there that have this belief that you have to grind and grit and work yourself like crazy to the point of sheer exhaustion. And that is not something that you encourage in the folks that you're working with from a coaching perspective.
I do not. I don't believe that life should be grueling. Life throws us curveballs. Every single one of us gets thrown a curveball. And just when we are in those moments of adversity, that in itself inherently can be grueling. We don't have to put any more of that on us. So if we don't have to, let's not. Let's find the path of least resistance to the end result of success.
And that success being something that makes you happy and fulfilled.
Others' success? Absolutely. There is nothing more satisfying. So I talked about being fulfilled and satisfying when and Barbara Ann, you speak about this, and it's a hashtag of yours, right? Servant leadership. Those of us, I believe, in the coaching profession are all servant leaders. We do what we do because we're here to be of service to other people, utilizing our own talents. So when somebody that I help is successful, there is nothing more satisfying or fulfilling than that. And I equate their success as my success. So, and then that fills me up. So, yeah.
Believe it or not, we're out of time.
Oh my
I could ask
gosh.
you so many more
I
questions.
know.
So we're definitely going to have you back.
I would love to.
So thank you so much. It was the perfect note to end on. I really appreciate you coming all the way up from Delaware to participate in this conversation. And as a reminder, you can reach Ellyn through LinkedIn, as well as emailing her at ellyn@herbiz.net. And Ellyn, as our past guest, is one of many inspiring guests we have lined up for future episodes, including bringing Ellyn back to ask her all the other questions I didn't even get to. And also including men. We do have some men coming up in the coming weeks. Of course, our next guest is another brilliant woman, Michelle Snow, the Platinum Connect and Vision Performance Coach, formerly known as Career Coach on Duty. She's a philanthropist, an award-winning coach, and president and executive of multiple companies, including the new company which she recently formed, known as the standing in authenticity, making errors, including her new company, Grow Together Snow Foundation. Her purpose is helping people turn potential into reality, and she uses these guiding principles to equip her clients with skills, confidence, and experience to be competitive leaders. I guess you could say we definitely have a theme running for the month of February. As a reminder, What the Why airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. and Mondays at 3:30 p.m. It also is available on demand at rvntelevision.com and on Roku if you have Roku. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this very enlightening conversation and were able to take away something from it. Whether you're looking to make a change in your life or your career, big or small, please join us again for more inspirational and informative conversations with people who wanted to make changes, overcame their fears and obstacles to find their core purpose and live it.